fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
Rain hammered the windshield, each drop a cold fist on my skin, echoing the tight knot of anxiety coiled in my chest. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened, the engine's growl a lonely heartbeat in the night. 8:47 p.m. Jerk was an hour late, and the storm seemed determined to keep us apart. He is a wolf-shaped man, the predator I've chased and coveted for months. His messages are always terse, crossroads, urgent. He never wastes words, but he never wastes touch either. The memory of his hand, rough, warm, claiming, still burns under my shirt. The highway blurred into a river of gray, the scent of wet earth rising, tinged with metal and something acrid like blood. My pulse quickened. I could taste rain on my tongue, feel the electric charge in the air, and hear a distant howl that promised danger. I pulled into the crossroads, headlights cutting through the downpour. The stone wall at the edge was slick, vines clawing at it like skeletal fingers. He leaned against it, rain dripping from his dark hair, his eyes catching the light like polished amber. His lean, muscular frame was coiled, a spring ready to snap. He hadn't seen me yet, but I could feel his presence, a heat that radiated even through the storm. I stepped out, the cold rain soaking my coat, and the world narrowed to the space between us. He turned, and his gaze locked onto mine, a mixture of warning and longing. "You took your time," I said, voice low, the words tasting like whiskey. Jerk's smile was a slash of steel. "I had to make sure the wolves were still hunting," he replied, his breath warm against my cheek, scented with pine and rain-slicked fur. He stepped closer, the distance between us shrinking to a breath. I could feel the tremor in his jaw, the low growl of power building beneath his skin. "They're coming," he whispered, his hand finding the small of my back, fingers digging into the fabric, sending a shiver through my spine. "And they want what we are." Lightning split the sky, illuminating the raw, animalistic hunger in his eyes. The storm roared louder, but the thunder in my chest was louder still. I pressed my palm against his chest, feeling the rapid beat of a heart that was both human and beast. "What do we become, Jerk?" I asked, my voice barely more than a rasp. He tilted his head, canines elongating just enough to catch the rain. "We become whatever we choose," he said, his tone a low, predatory purr. "Stay human and be hunted, or surrender to the wolf and run with the pack." The world seemed to hold its breath. I could feel the heat of his body seeping into me, the scent of wet fur and iron mingling with my own desire. My own skin prickled, a primal urge rising from the marrow of my bones. I closed the distance, pressing my lips to the furrowed line of his jaw. The contact sparked a fire that raced through my veins, hotter than the storm around us. His hand slipped around my waist, pulling me tighter, his claws grazing my skin with a promise of both pain and pleasure. "Then let's not wait for dawn," I murmured, my voice thick with need. He let out a guttural laugh, the sound reverberating through the night. "As you wish, my wolf." We ran into the rain, into the darkness, into each other, our bodies moving as one, the line between man and beast blurring with every heartbeat. The storm raged on, but inside the circle of our embrace, the world fell away. When the first light of dawn finally broke over the horizon, we stood on the edge of the crossroads, transformed not by magic, but by choice. We were still men, but the wolf moon had marked us. The decision was ours, to live as hunters or as the hunted. I looked at Jerk, his amber eyes reflecting the rising sun, and felt a fierce, tender certainty settle in my chest. "Whatever we become," I said, "we do it together." He nodded, his smile softening. "Together," he agreed, and the howl that rose from his throat was no longer a warning, it was a promise. The rain finally eased, leaving the road glistening like polished steel. We turned away from the crossroads, the weight of the night behind us, the promise of a new kind of love ahead.